single decision. A single decision. A single decision is sometimes all it takes. A single decision is to change your life forever. For better or worse. For worse. New vampires for a new age. They say legends never die, but some legends die and live again. New vampires for a new age. A single decision. Is sometimes all it takes. To change your life forever. For better or worse. For worse. New vampires for a new age. They say legends never die, but some legends die and live again. New vampires for a new age. A single decision. Is sometimes all it takes. Change your life forever. For better or worse. For worse. New vampires for a new age. They say legends never die, but some legends die and live again. New vampires for a new age. A single decision. Sometimes all it takes. To change your life forever. For better or worse. For worse. New vampires for a new age. They say legends never die, but some legends die and live again. New vampires for a new age.
Hello. Can everybody hear me loud and clear? Great. Welcome, everyone. Hello, Boo. Hello, Max. Hello, Solar Sass. Is that right? Hello, Grozzle Keel. Is that right? Hello, Shireen September. Hello, Radical. It's our great leader. You're goddamn right it is. Of course. All prepared. Oh. What was that? Oh. Someone's followed, thank you. Or initiated, as we like to say here. Oh. Another person has been initiated. Excellent. Immortally beloved, we're gathered here today to celebrate deaths. Our deaths. Through the mercy of the Lord our God, we have been reborn to these eternal forms. I will be the master of ceremonies for this service, this evening. You may refer to me as Father, or Padre if you prefer. Thank you, Max. It's very kind of you to say. No, Max. But I did see that one coming. Oh, yes. All the anxiety. All flooding back. And so, are we all ready to take communion? Here I have the blood of life. The blood of oblates. Every drop is life. And as we take it, we can survive another night. So, we take the blood and we give thanks to the Bone Shepherd so that we can continue and prosper in this eternal life. Take it each of you and drink from it, for it is the blood of life. Almost, Max. Almost. Almost. And so, now we've taken communion. Yeah, close enough. Close enough. So, now we've had communion. Does anyone have any questions they would like to ask before we continue? Indeed, close enough. But if there are no questions, what type of vampire are you? Haha, that's a very good question. It's a very good question indeed. What is Ben Savage's favourite brand of toilet paper? Well, it depends who Ben Savage is. Yeah, I'm also unaware of who this Ben Savage is. As for the kind of vampire I am, I trace my lineage all the way back to the Bone Shepherd himself. What a great lineage that is. That is my legacy that flows in this body. Of course, Of course I have powers. I have summoned you all here today successfully, haven't I? And what is that, if not power? The power of trolling. Perhaps that is also true, Radical. And very good I am at it, I might add as well. So are there any more questions before we continue? Definitely. Definitely good at it? Yes. Do you accept ghosts into this defo, not a cult? Everyone is welcome. There are many creatures in this world. Spirits are very common here. And for a moment I disappeared, but it was but a moment. Oh, okay. No. Count Dracula. No, it doesn't ring a bell, I'm afraid. No, he was some Eastern European reject, I believe, and here. Being a vampire club, how do I get into that club? By being turned, of course. Kinda, what happens if I throw garlic at you? I've become very annoyed. Who throws garlic at people? It's very disrespectful. Nosferatu, no, not quite. But I can see where your mind is. Nosferatu is just another name for a vampire. Of course. But it invokes certain images in your mind, doesn't it? It's the curious nature of words. Welcome to the stream, Vampy Fiend. Who throws garlic at people? Someone who wants to share their garden's haul. You don't throw it at them. You don't do that. I see we have some spooky, scary skeletons in the chat. Excellent. Yeah, maybe I like social distancing. Yes. 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 It is classic indeed, Vampy Fiend, indeed. Very useful in its way. Very useful indeed. We should bring back the rule where people have to stay as far away from you. I like that. Perhaps. But how can you get close enough to bite if you have to stay far away? Yes, Radical, in the shadows, just waiting. Just waiting. Like even answering out with humans, my subpar throw is going to have to do the trick. That's unconventional for me to build a trebuchet. Then that mode of delivery is acceptable. Yes, I see. Have you considered a delivery service? Treasure. Wait, that's very interesting. Thank you. Yes, thank you. It is but a beginning. A very important beginning. From here, things can only grow. As the infection spreads, it will only grow larger and more prominent. Thank you, Radical. Thank you indeed. Is that Kermit the Frog's hilarious? Yes, I recognise that indeed. Welcome, please, Princess, to the stream. Getting your mad Hitchcock vibes. Hello. Is this what you expected? Don't know what I expected. Well, here we are. Maybe a dude who works at Hot Topic. No, I do not work at that establishment. Because no, actually really hate me today. Like, honestly, I did, but didn't expect this. Now we're going to do something fun. I look like a dude who works at Hot Topic. Oh dear. Yes, I did want to plan a few surprises. Indeed. Are you Welsh? No. No, I'm not. I'm English. At least I was the last time I checked. Sound like my friend Pinge. Pinge? He's from there, okay. I'm definitely not from Wales. I knew someone at uni who was from Wales. You were going to be dressed as a vampire just from chatting with you enough. Radical saw it coming. Of course he did. You see, they keep growing back, you see. Can't get rid of them. They just have a habit of sticking around. They are rather useful, wouldn't you say? Actually try getting real fangs once. I wasn't quite expecting to see them, I don't know why. Yeah, it almost seems obvious now, doesn't it? Oh dear. Oh, thank you, please. I'm a princess for the shout out on Discord. Radical, are you still able to pop on the panel? Oh, Amphithene has been initiated. Thank you. I could do for a few, yes. Okay. So feel free to pop in, and anyone else on the creator program who wants to go on the panel as well, that's also fine. Yes. So just pop into the voice chat that's creator program only on the Discord, in the Discord server. Oh no, that is clearly a bot. If anyone could deal with that, if that's okay, I'd appreciate it. Because my mouse is being weird, I don't know why. Thank you for that. Yeah. Yeah, I can't see my mouse cursor now, I don't know why. Welcome to streaming. Yes. Yes, it's all good. Let me know if you have trouble finding the creator program only voice chat, Radical. It should be under the voice channels section on the server. Under general, the one under general. Yes, the entire body's banning bots, dealing with technical issues and saying that's what she said. Well, I'm not going to be saying that very often this evening, I suspect. Ah! Hello, Radical. I can't hear you. Let me see. Should be able to hear you.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. How are you doing this evening? Or whatever time it is there. Welcome to streaming. Being... I get so many propositions from that. Okay. Men are probably into vampires, honestly. I can see it. I want to live forever. Well, who doesn't want to live forever? You still there, Radical? Yeah. Yeah. Does this work?
There he is.
Okay. I see. I was muted on the Discord.
Yeah, I was about to type that in there and say.
Yeah. I can't. The camera won't work on the Discord as well as the stream thing. So
yeah.
So we're gonna have to just make do with that. So how are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Great, yeah.
Can do this either way for you if you want. I can turn on the webcam or not, or either way, it's fine.
Yeah, if you're comfortable with being on webcam, yeah.
All right. I think Radical might be on cam if you click his bottom picture there.
Oh.
I am now.
Oh.
About to be.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll come on.
Here I am.
There we go.
There's his eye.
Yes, indeed it is. And Radical,
Hi there,
we're on the
friends.
stream now.
Oh, yay. Hi, stream. What's up, stream? How you doing? How's everyone? Even though I see you right now. I'm looking at you. Hello, Beard Man. What's up, Max?
It is indeed the Beard Man.
The Bearded Man.
The Bearded Man. I'm tired. Oh dear. It'd be a hilarious sideshow. I mean, it kind of is a sideshow.
Well, like, you see, there's the main attraction, and then there's me.
I brought you on to deflect the attention off me for a few minutes. You can entertain them.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I can entertain the masses. Yes, they are. They are. They're like my collectional hobby. Other than horror stuff, obviously.
Nice.
As you can tell.
Yeah, there's definitely a horror theme that I can see emerging in the room.
100%. My friend did one of those. Oh my gosh.
Max. Oh, God.
I wouldn't be surprised if people did that, to be quite honest.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a container, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's untrue. Yeah, I'm not sure we believe you, Max, that that's not true. I think.
Yeah, I have a lot of them.
Yeah.
I have a lot of Pez dispensers.
And what did they contain?
Nothing.
Nothing.
There's nothing inside of them. I'm not like Max out here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when Max says a friend, I think he means him. And I think he means he actually does.
Definitely makes sense to
Yeah.
me.
By the way, most things I say are a fallacy. Yeah, sure they are. Sure they are, Max.
I know some of his friends it could be true. Ooh.
Ooh.
Sounds like Boo's ratting you out a little bit. Nice. Just to leave. Ibuprofen.
Ibuprofen. Imagine if you had someone tell you that you do drugs and it was ibuprofen.
I'd probably be very shocked because when someone says they do drugs, it's not like you're gonna hear ibuprofen.
Yeah.
You shouldn't expect it. I'd say, where's the spoon? You are over the top, my friend.
Oh God. Good.
Typically, not bad.
So, since we got you here, what is your
Yes,
review of the game?
I love the game. It was a lot of fun. Very shocking. The main ending to the game is very shocking. I
is.
love the graphics that were designed for it, as well as the sound, the music. I overall just loved the entirety of the game myself. Thought it was a very good concept and a very good idea. Like I said, the twists and turns of that entire game is like, just what? What just happened? Like, I'm obviously not gonna reveal any of the plots for those that might be watching that are,
Mm.
wanting to play it in the future, but it's shocking, I'll say that.
Yeah. The part what that one part where it switches to the question marks, then the translation I loved. Thank you. That was actually
Yeah.
very quite difficult to do. That's not a normal thing that you do in a visual novel. It didn't want to do that, so I had to find a way around that.
Right.
Yeah.
You did the one part where it switches to the question mark, question mark, question mark. Yeah, yeah. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Please, I'm a princess said. I still got beef with you guys over learning about that ending.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I did that to a few people, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Because I was the first one to play it, I got
Yeah.
to mess with people.
Yeah. You were good. You were good backup on that, and just gaslighting people, particularly Princess. It's just she believed it
No,
like
she
so
believed
hard.
us.
Yeah, like the betrayal was like the betrayal from us saying that Father Angelo, well, one of the characters, was a
Yep.
certain way, and was almost bigger that we'd told them that than actually that betrayal itself. But yeah.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Chelsea. I learned my lesson, that's for sure. But it definitely made the ending hit hard. Yeah. I mean, that's sort of the point. Like, if you don't expect it, then it's going to hit harder, isn't it? But if you already have an idea that it's going to happen, then
You were the one who made the choices. We just told you what not to do.
yeah.
And you listened.
You listened and you believed. Why'd you believe? Why would you do that?
You didn't go with your gut feeling. You literally said it was your gut feeling.
Yeah.
Like this
Yeah.
feeling is open
Yeah. Yeah.
to do this or open that or do this or whatever it tells you to do. It literally you did the opposite. That was on you. LVO, I know.
The best
Yeah,
bit
you didn't
is
listen to yourself.
she's not going to remember, so for next time, I'm going to do it again.
Oh,
That's okay, Monster Mash. Welcome to the stream.
Monster Mash.
It was a graveyard smash.
He did the mash.
You did the Monster Mash.
He did the mash.
I bet you could do a full cover of that song, couldn't you?
Oh yeah.
Go on then.
No. Not right now. I'm not prepared for that right now.
You're only live in front of a bunch of people. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's all it is.
With your entire, your entire audience of vampires out here.
Well, I don't think your singing ability not going to make a difference on whether or not you survive.
That's true.
Like,
That's true.
it might delay the inevitable, but
Oh yeah. The inevitable.
the inevitable.
Inevitable. Yeah, no, I loved it. I loved the game entirely. And those aren't my typical games, as you well know.
Yeah.
You've seen the games I play. Those aren't my typical games, but I'm always willing to like try out new games and see where different things go. And to me, the whole concept of vampires is another concept inside of horror, and I'm just a big horror fiend, so I'll play anything or talk about anything with it. So I was like, I'm gonna give it a shot, see how it is, and support our friend here.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun watching you play.
I bet. Oh, I know you call me out about it every time. Your reaction when this happened.
Oh yeah, that was good. Yeah, that was great. Yeah, yeah.
Oh
And it's
goodness.
like you never like I didn't know how well it would work until it was obviously played, and you were obviously the first that played it.
Yeah,
So it was pretty nerve wracking that first time.
definitely.
Yeah, well, any time really, but particularly that first time, it's like how are they going to react? Like,
Probably nerve-wracking for you, especially because
yeah,
like your game being played for the first time, and you're like,
yeah,
it did. It absolutely
mm,
went phenomenal, boo. It was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun.
mm. Yeah. It was,
Definitely love the choice-based making that tells the story. Like I've always
yeah,
loved those types of games too. That like you pick your choice and it tells which path you go.
yeah.
Those are fun.
So I started. I just wanted to tell a story through that medium, and then I
Hmm.
just realised that it would be a great way to sort of it's trying to find different ways to give people choices. It's quite an interesting. Um, Hello, Van. Welcome. It's quite an interesting. It's a unique challenge, and then what I decided to do primarily is to reward people for being curious. So a lot of the achievements are about how curious they are and how prepared they are to dig into certain things. And that was primarily what I
Yeah,
decided to do for the achievements.
being curious, and I like that because
Yeah,
I would have never thought of that until you said something about it. I would have been like, okay, game's over.
yeah. Well, for the actual release, I put on a tip screen, and like it literally just says that like there are 6 achievements. You may need to play more than once to get them all. And I also
Yeah,
put,
that would have been helpful.
yeah, and I also put on these sort of back options directly on the after the credits and on the sort of
Yeah.
game over screens to like go back to literally where you were when you before you messed up basically. Or in the case of
Oh yeah.
the credits, you could go back to the or to the start of the crypt.
Hmm.
And those are things that I added in reaction to the creator program. It's like, how can I make this easier for people playing, and also to make it more obvious that they may need to play more than once. That's sort of what I use to combat that. And I
I
also,
definitely think that'll
yeah,
help.
yeah, yeah. So and I also put on the tip screen also about the auto reader. So if
Hmm.
anyone who needs it, it's sort of there and it's sort of prominently displayed on the screen that you can use this if you need it. Because and it might not be obvious to people, particularly if they haven't played visual novels before. I mean,
Yeah.
it's actually a feature in the engine itself for NP. But if if you're not familiar with the engine, not familiar with the genre, you might not realise that that's a common addition.
Hmm.
So I wanted to sort of signpost that because I know Sevi used it. It wasn't immediately obvious that it was there and that was an option. So sort of make that clear.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I think that'll help it with the reach to the audience.
Yeah.
So some people will be able to use that option.
Yeah.
Especially, I feel like especially when you're streaming it. Like if you're
Yeah.
streaming, it's a little bit easier because you're trying to maintain chat and you're trying to like maintain reading the loop of the game.
Hmm.
And there's some people out there that just kind of like watching the game
Yeah.
more or less rather than okay, well, I'm pausing and I'm talking for 5 minutes before I get to the next part. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. Yeah. And I suppose it's making it clear for people and giving them some option.
yeah,
and
absolutely.
and you don't necessarily have to dumb down the game, but you can add in things that explain certain things, make certain things clear to people, so it's just easier on them when they're playing, and that was sort of the thinking.
All about accessibility, right?
Yeah,
That's the big thing, accessibility, so many people can play, not just certain individuals or anything like that. It's more broad,
yeah.
allowing other people to play.
And the more people that can play it, the better. Really, that's what it's all
Right,
about.
right.
Yeah, and particularly because it's a free game, that it's just easy for anyone to play. So might as well extend it even further, as many people as possible.
Right. You want to reach as many people as possible, regardless of whether the game's free or not.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But particularly because it's the first one, and it's that setting the tone for what comes after.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially since you have all that other stuff lined up for the future.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Fampy.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And it's not something that's necessarily always obvious at first if you're not familiar with all that. And so I say I'm still learning a lot about that sort of thing, but it's definitely something I'm interested in helping with as much as I can in my games. And I think particularly because it's the first one, I want to try and sort of get it right. And, it's that first impression, and if people like it, they can go deeper. So it's good to have those things, so that I'm thinking about those things even at such an early stage.
Right.
Even if they may need to be improved in the future, it's sort of that start, that stepping stone of those certain things to make it more accessible.
Absolutely. And I think that adding those accessibility settings that people may need will ultimately help your game be different than other games in the genre that you are running.
And so as I continue to develop with my team, we'll obviously look more at those things. But I think it's an okay start. But it's all a learning curve, and just trying to do more and more each time, I suppose.
100%.
Yeah. And that just really applies across the board, but also to accessibility. It's all about learning and improving and streamlining. Thank you, Vampy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what video games are about nowadays, is accessibility for everybody.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, there's so many different games out there, like different genres and different ways games are made, that sometimes people overlook the accessibility part of it.
Yeah. And I think it's if you don't deal with those issues, it might not always be immediately obvious to you that those things are lacking. And that's sort of what when it gets played and you can get feedback on it, you can sort of get a greater understanding of those things.
Right. It inhibits our ability to play. Right. Absolutely, Serene. Yes.
Yeah.
I think accessibility changes the whole dynamic of the game. It makes it again. We've talked about it. It helps the reach, but also it makes people want to play the game, right? It gives them the ability to have choices to change certain elements that'll help them better. Yeah, and that was why that was my number one feedback recommendation type thing.
Yeah. So and so it's very important to listen to the community, and it's sort of it's always sort of the message that I go for is the idea that the Harrowed World community is for everyone. As long as you respectfully follow the rules, you're welcome. I mean, it is, of course, intended for a more mature audience, but other than that,
of course.
Yeah, but other than that, it's supposed to be just like this big tent anyone can sort of join. That's sort of the thinking, and so 100%. Voice an opinion You know, it's always good. Constructive feedback is always good.
Right.
Yeah. You know, obviously there are people who will be negative to be negative, but there will be people who will generally want to give feedback to help to improve. And, you know, it's always good to improve. And whether that's an improvement on the actual current game itself or a future release, you know, it's all good. It all helps to improve and streamline as we go along.
100%. I think that's one thing I found about when I switched fully to horror games and stuff like that, was that the horror community was that mostly everybody are for helping devs to grow their games and their community, more or less, rather than just being like, well, you need to change this about your game or that game or that or whatever it may be. I've found a lot of people who are just like, well, I'm just wanting to give them a little bit of criticism based on my feedback, not necessarily to hurt them or hurt their feelings or anything like that, but to help them grow their game and to help their community as well. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's constructive feedback, really, is what we're sort of getting at. And it's obviously it's very vitally important. And that does sort of match my experience. I've met a lot of content creators, and the vast majority have been great, and a lot of them have been on the creator program, and their feedback has been very valuable. From them, just from what they like and what they don't like. What if things need to be improved, and generally it's been very positive. And there's a few little things that we may need to improve on, but that's all good. That all helps.
It's all natural, right?
Yeah. And
there is not one. I know we could argue about that or debate about it, but I don't believe there's one game that's 100% perfect.
Oh yeah. So
I think there's room for improvement everywhere.
Even some of my favorite games, I recognize there are flaws in them. Because anything that's made by a person is not going to be 100% perfect. That's just
100%.
Yeah, nothing's ever perfect.
Right.
Yeah, so it comes down to knowing when it's important, things need improving, and when things should be left. So it's, so don't let perfect become enemy of the good, as they say. But there are things, as I say, that definitely, if they can be improved, it can, in certain cases, important to make those improvements. In other cases, it's important to know when to let go, when it's done. So there is a hard line there. Yeah.
Feedback is super important. There's ways to do it and ways to... Absolutely.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Feedback.
It's all about being respectful,
Yeah.
like Serene said. She said as long as people are respectful. Because at the end of the day, these are people you're talking to, right? So if you're giving them feedback about their video game, be respectful about it. And be like, well, like I said with Harrowed, he sent me the form that we had to fill out, and I said straight up, I think that this will be better for your game if you had some sort of accessibility with like audio, hearing the audio, because not just for streamers but for others that may need that help. It's there, there's an option even. So
and
right.
So it's about, as you say, it's about respect, and and it's and that's important on all sides. And it's important that the developers remember that they need to be respectful to the people giving feedback. And even when that feedback is extremely negative and not constructive, it helps if you remember to be respectful even then, because that sometimes it's just better to be the bigger person. And even if you can find something in there that is usable and helpful, that's good as well. That isn't always the case, but yeah. So can be a lot of negativity online, and it's inevitably going to happen. There's always going to be people who will just hate on things, hate on them,
Yeah.
and I haven't really encountered that yet on this. I mean, I have done previously on previous projects and things I've done, but not on this one. But it will come, and I just have to deal with it when it comes. But a lot of the time,
It happens.
yeah,
Unfortunately,
yeah,
with the way things are and people are, it does happen. It's just
yeah,
about the way, I feel like it's just about the way you react to it, right?
yeah. I mean, a lot
So
of
as a
yeah,
professional, you are the dev, so
yeah,
the way you react to it is what makes everything up, right?
yeah. So you just got to be the better person, and
Hmm.
it can be hard because you're just a person as well, and
Hmm.
people are flawed, and yeah, I think, it's going to happen, isn't it? And I think a lot of the time it's often more to do with them than it is to do with you.
Hmm.
Sometimes it can come from a place of jealousy, and and sometimes it can actually be an attempt at genuine feedback, but just not delivered in the best way. That can
Yes.
happen, but in a lot of cases, it is just negativity for the sake of negativity.
Hmm.
Um, but it's and I think it can come from all sorts of places, jealousy,
100%.
or just that they don't like that particular thing you are doing, and they decide to make that your problem, rather than them just accepting that people have things they like and other people have
Yeah,
things they like.
definitely.
Because that happens. So
Well, we all do like different things.
yeah,
That is what it is.
yeah, and that's it's important to remember that what is
Mhm.
something you like is not necessarily what someone else likes, and just because you don't like it, that doesn't mean it doesn't have value.
Right.
Um,
And it's just like with streaming, right? You're not gonna stop supporting somebody because they're playing a game you don't like.
yeah,
Like that's how
yeah,
I see it. Is like I'm
yeah,
not gonna stop supporting my friend
mm,
because they're playing a game that I don't like to play.
yeah, and there are even times when streamers play games I wouldn't like to play, but it can still be fun to watch them play it,
Yeah.
because you're not. For me, at least, when I watch a streamer, it's not just about the games they play; it's about them as a person.
Right. 100%.
And so you can often find fun in their stream, even if they're not playing something you would play yourself.
Hmm.
And even in some cases, you might realise that you actually like the look of the game that you wouldn't necessarily think you would like the look of. It can happen.
Oh yeah. And games can sneak up on you. You see
Yeah,
the streamer playing a certain game, and then they'd be like, that was really good.
yeah,
I never thought I would like that, but that
yeah,
was really good.
yeah. So Serene says that's what makes us all unique. We don't all think in a monolith. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, very true. Yeah,
And that's important, right? There's not a single person, even friends of mine, that have had the same, like, 100%. Oh, we all like the same thing.
mm.
That doesn't change our relationship or our friendship at all.
Yeah,
It's just you like what you like,
yeah,
I like what I like, and
yeah,
we're cool.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. Yeah, and Chelsea
yeah.
says, just know that you can pick and choose which feedback is actionable. You don't have to make every change that comes your way. That is true. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, because sometimes people might not understand the vision that you're going for.
Hmm.
So if you have a particular style in mind or a specific idea in mind, you shouldn't necessarily change that because someone else thinks you should.
100%.
You'll often have a specific idea in your head of what you want. I mean, I think it would depend on the developer and on the project, and I'm sure this also applies to streamers as well. The way you
Hmm.
handle your stream,
Yeah.
the way the way your alerts are, or how the specific way in which you play. Do you, and how you interact with chat and all these things. Someone might have an idea of how you should be acting in those ways and how you should be doing certain things. That doesn't necessarily match up with what you want and what's right for you.
Yeah, I mean, that goes back to it, we're talking about it. We're all unique.
Yeah.
Every streamer is going to run their stream a different way,
Yeah.
right? Every developer is going to run their game a different way.
Yeah.
And the fun thing I'd like to share with that is, I think but if you guys don't know me, I do theater outside of streaming. That's my thing. I do musical theater. It's like my hobby, kind of, sort of. But it's like the director, right? The director's vision. He has a certain vision that somebody may not agree with, or they may not or they may not think. They're like, why did you go with that? But they have their own vision, which is encompassing of they can take feedback from the actors or from the audience or whoever, but it's ultimately their vision at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's right, Serene. Yeah, because if you try and make everyone happy, you'll make no one happy. Is what they say, isn't it? Yeah. So you just can't apply. You can't make something that works for everyone. It's just not possible. Even things that are very popular, you'll have people who just don't like them at all. That's just how it is. You can have the most popular thing in the world. It could be the most popular film in the world. There'll be someone in the world who doesn't like it.
100%.
It's just how it is. But yeah, balance is good, and you've got to, it's about knowing what to, what things are important and what things aren't. And that actually sort of, it's almost a through line in, what is important to do and what isn't important to do. Because if you get too caught up in the things that aren't important, it can stop you doing the things that are important. You can, if you're a developer, you can get too caught up in details that just aren't important, which means it delays your release unnecessarily. And if you're a streamer, you can get caught up in details that aren't important, which, could stop you streaming or stop streaming in the right way. Just going to know what is important and what you need to concentrate
100%. On. And I think with streaming, it's about your purpose, right? Just like the developers. What kind of audience do you want to reach? Why do you do what you do? And that's what I find to be important with streaming is having a purpose. About where you're wanting to take your stream.
So what is your purpose then?
I would say for me, it's to be a positive light and a positive beacon for others, because I don't see, the world is hectic everywhere. It's crazy. It's hectic. Life is crazy, so I feel like in my Twitch space, in my Twitch channel, it's a place that I want positivity, a safe space, a place for people to, be able to be themselves and just have fun, because, like I said, the world's crazy. Twitch isn't a place for drama. So that's why I see my purpose as is to try to be a beacon of motivation and positivity for everyone.
And that is reflected in the way that you present yourself in your streams and on Discord. That's very reflective of how you present yourself and how you act, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Just trying to also be myself. That's another thing that I've always told people is just always be yourself. What you see me as on cam or on stream is exactly like how you would see me if we met in real life.
Yeah.
You're definitely radiating. I appreciate that.
Radiating in high vibration.
I hope that's a good thing.
It means you're wobbling, I think. You're vibrating, you're wobbling.
Yeah. No worries.
Yeah, that's fine, Vampy.
Just hard to have vampire teeth in real life.
oh yeah, this is just how I look. This is all normal.
I could see him actually getting it. Yes, it is good. No worries. I see so many people. Yeah, that's what you do. You know, you guide toward yourself towards the people that you think are the most positive, right? And you
Mm.
find your community through that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there is some cases where you find some negative people, but
Mm.
I wouldn't say don't support somebody just because they're negative. I would say just look at people as people because you don't know what they're going
Yeah.
through.
Yeah. And and it's complicated. You never know. You might interpret things a certain way which aren't really how they are as well. That can happen as well.
Yeah.
Like
Now that's understandable.
mm,
That's understandable, Serene. I mean,
yeah.
now you deal with stuff too, just like everybody else does.
Mm,
So I mean, point being with that is they should not be reflecting that onto you.
yeah.
So if I'm dealing with something in my own life, like I'm not gonna present it on stream or
Mm,
to anybody
mm,
because I don't know what other people are going through.
mm,
So
mm,
I will leave what I'm dealing with gone while I'm doing my thing.
mm.
And of course, everybody's normal. That's not always easy to do or easy to present. That you putting everything to the side because things are stressful in life. But again, I don't see Twitch as that place to be like that, if that makes sense, to
Mm,
air that all out.
mm.
Right. So you see,
Yeah.
I want you to be able to
Mm,
come on my stream and be like, "Hey, that was
mm,
funny," or
yeah.
"Hey, that was
Yeah.
hey, I got a good smile," or whatever.
Yeah. And that's interesting because, like with me, I often sort of keep some of that to myself, and part of that is just how I am, but also because I think I'm sort of representing. I'm not just representing myself. I'm representing Harrowed World. I'm representing Pennyvale Media,
Yeah.
and that's not what people come to that for. That's not what that is for.
Hmm.
But then it creates an interesting fine line because people often they often don't like people act like brands.
True.
Yeah,
Yeah, there is people that would like you to act like yourself. If you're
yeah,
dealing with something,
yeah,
they would like to
yeah,
lean in.
yeah,
But I just think that
mm,
when you're on stream on
yeah,
this platform or any other platform, there's a difference. Now,
yeah,
if my friend messaged me or you messaged me or
yeah,
Serene or somebody, and said, "Hey, I could see you were a little off today on stream. What's up?"
mm,
And then I told him what's up, then that's
yeah,
initiating the conversation
yeah,
to say
yeah.
something, right?
So,
So that's how I
yeah,
see that. And
yeah,
until that point where you're on that level where you're
ro-
on Discord
yeah,
or something, then that's when I see
mm,
you can talk about these things.
yeah. So rather
But
than ranting to
right,
everyone, you do it personally, like DMs or
hmm
whatever, and or
yeah,
whatever
yeah.
way
I,
you
I
can
think
communicate.
I think that you can still get
Mm,
the help you need or talk to a friend or whatever you need, just not necessarily by going onto the stream where
yeah,
there's how many ever people
yeah,
and
yeah,
just saying it out in the air,
yeah.
like
Which
I
probably
don't
isn't.
I don't think
Yeah,
that's the right thing to do.
and it probably isn't the best way to deal with it either. In a lot of
Hmm.
times, um,
Right.
the more people that are involved, the less likely it is to help. In a lot of cases,
Hmm.
um,
Right.
I think a lot of that is quite personal. So often, like times, small groups or one-on-one, special like private groups and things would
100%.
actually be a lot more helpful than sort of open to anyone. Twitch is open to anyone. Anyone can come into any stream at any time.
Right.
Yeah, anyone could come into the stream at any point. Anyone.
And I think that
Yeah,
people forget that because
yeah,
when you're streaming and then people be like, "Ooh, that person looks cool,"
yeah,
or that, is going on,
mm,
or this is going on, and then you're like, well, they go in there and they're talking about something like
yeah,
serious, like serious, like
mm,
you just gotta be careful what you see and what you say.
yeah. And people. Just because people aren't talking doesn't mean they're not there either. There can often be more
Right.
people than you think. You got lurkers
Oh
and
yeah.
things. Yeah.
lurkers.
Yeah.
Lurkers are real, man. I
Yeah.
mean, there are people that go in there and
Yeah.
they don't say anything, but they're
Yeah.
like there for you.
Yeah. Well, there's 13 people watching this live stream. Not all of them are talking. So,
Exactly.
yeah. So you don't know
But they're
who's
chilling,
watching.
they're
Yeah.
supporting, they're hanging out.
Yeah. Which is fine.
Listening.
It's just that you don't necessarily know who they are. So it's not. Twitch isn't a private chat. It's an open chat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody could come in here and talk
Yeah.
at any point in time.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah. So you know, not necessarily know who your audience is at any particular time.
yep, I'm here.
Maha, yeah. Hey.
Hi there.
Yeah. If you don't know, Maha was the illustrator.
Mm-hmm.
Did an amazing
But
job.
just
on the
talking about
artwork.
how much I love the art, by the way.
Yeah. You're good to come on the panel if you want, Maha, but it's up to you.
Yeah, thanks. You're very welcome.
Yeah, so I primarily deal with sort of the promotional aspects, which is no, I'm not. That's fine. That's fine. You don't have to. So I primarily deal with the promotional aspects. As I suppose that's because I created the setting and I sort of started it all. So it rolls around me more.
Right.
But I'm comfortable handling all the promotion and everything. Also happy for Maha to get involved with certain things. I know he popped in a few of the creative program streams.
Yeah.
And he was quite happy to receive the feedback on his work. So it's good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's quite different looking at art from like a certain different types of games.
Yeah.
And then looking at the art of a visual graphic novel.
Yeah. Yeah. And the art style on this was quite unique compared to a lot of visual novels. And it was, me and Maha sort of had quite a bit of communication on trying to work that out. Because I had this sort of idea in my mind, and we had to sort of transfer it to him, that idea to him, and and he did an amazing job bringing it to life. Yeah, and it was his first time doing art for a visual novel, and first time really doing art like this. So he did an amazing job.
I think so too.
Yeah. So
the art stood out to you. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the art was something that definitely stands out.
Yeah.
It's different than and I know Serene's kind of sort of can say the same thing, that she plays usually a lot more horror games, like asymmetrical horrors and like, TCM, Dead by Daylight, some games like that. So, I mean, I'm not certain on her experience with like graphic novels, but it's a different type of setting and a different type of game than what is typically played, right?
Yeah, it's a different. Any genre, it has its own complications, difficulties, challenges.
Oh yeah.
Visual novels, the ones you've often see anime style. Yeah, like the vast majority are anime style. Even the ones about vampires tend to be in that style. So when I sort of I was always going to want sort of a gothic style. That was always what I was going to want. That's just inevitable, because I think that sort of fits the style of stories that I want to tell. So whether that's a visual novel or the RPG, it will sort of follow that sort of style. It may be it was so Maha, it was a bit challenging, but it gets easier. So it's and we've really sort of got a great dynamic now, and we sort of feed off each other quite well. And he's also helping with the RPG, and he's very skilled in programming. and modelling and all sorts of things. Like he's very skilled in a lot of areas of game development. So he's been invaluable in a lot of ways. Which is quite helpful to me because I'm relatively new to game development. So my background is more the sort of the story side. So I spent over a decade working on the actual setting. That's sort of where I came from. And my original plan was to use it for normal book stories. And then that sort of evolved into doing video games, and then visual novels just sort of makes sense, given that. It sort of explains the way I look at things. I see it more as sort of a unique way of telling stories, because video games often are about stories, but they are interactive, so it's a very different kind of story. Even compared to, say, it's like choose your own adventure novels. With like an RPG, it's a lot more involved in that. So there's obviously lots of different challenges, and
100%.
Sorry?
I just said 100%.
Yeah. And it's been yeah. So it's been challenging, but also in a way that it's sort of when I moved to game development, it sort of reignited a passion in me that was struggling for some time. I was wanting to write like full novels, just like standard like novels, and that's difficult because for lots of reasons. But one of the reasons it's hard to stand out. Almost everyone seems to be writing a vampire novel, but who's making a dark gothic vampire visual novel? There isn't a long list, is it? And it presents in a slightly different way because it's visual, but it's also interactive. So it stands out more simply because not really that many people are doing it. Like you could count on one hand the amount of people like who've done it and that are currently available online. Like it's a very small list. And whereas you compare that to vampire novels. How many vampire novels do you think are made every year? People always writing vampire novels.
Not many,
but a lot more than vampire visual novels.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Like when I was concentrating on writing a novel, it was like there was always seemed to be tons of people who were also working on vampire novels, and it's like, how do you stand out in that? There's so many, and they aren't any less legitimate than what I wanted to do, but how do you stand out in that? And then I would overthink things and all sorts of things. But let's not get into that. Yeah, and then when I decided to do game development, when I did, my focus was on the RPG at first. It's still being worked on, but it's sort of behind the scenes at the moment. That sort of reunited that passion. It became... Oh, JC, welcome. I've been initiated. I'd say it sort of reignited that passion.
You've been initiated.
That challenge and that creative aspect was really helpful for me. And then I sort of decided to switch to visual novels as a way to sort of get something out, and as a way to sort of start off like sort of a bit smaller, but a way to sort of introduce people to the world really, and to the way that my style of writing and all that sort of the style, the setting, and all that.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
I think it's interesting to find like what motivates game developers and what makes them make certain choices in their games.
Yeah,
I think that's important and
yeah,
in fun
yeah,
conversation when you're like communicating with these devs is to figure out like if you're interested in the game and you're interested in the lore or something
yeah,
and they're willing to tell you, then
yeah, yeah.
it's cool to ask. I
Hmm.
feel like that's something that I've never really thought of doing ever.
Yeah,
Is being like, hey, how did you come up with your inspiration for this?
yeah, yeah. Well, as I said, I spent over a decade working on the setting, so that's a lot of background work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was just I became fascinated with the idea that
Hmm.
supernatural creatures could live in the world, but we not know anything about them. But they're just there,
Hmm.
hiding away in the shadows. Not, you know. So, and that sort of just fascinated me, that idea. I think in part because it kind of blurs the line between what's real and what isn't. In the sense
Hmm.
that you can, if you just for a moment just, let like suspension of disbelief, you can almost believe it's true.
Hmm.
Whereas you look at more fantastical things, which are legitimate in their own right, of course, and can be very fascinating and tell great stories. They're not as believable because they're obviously not based in the same basic world. It's not based on the real world really in a lot of cases, and
Yeah.
it sort of sprung off that, and it was just working through things over a number of years. So everything just got more clearer and clearer until I sort of had a better idea of what I actually wanted out of it. And there's lots of different bits to it, and then because it's so big, all the potential there's just so much in the setting, like so many notes I have on it.
Hmm.
There's a lot of potential for things, which is good, but it also is a bit of a disadvantage in that it can be hard to know where to focus. So that's why I'm trying to split it up, break it down into
Right.
something that's manageable. So so you have the visual novel, which builds up in over a number of short stories, which then lead into the RPG, and that successfully introduces vampires and all that.
Yeah.
And once I've done, but I can also slowly build up other aspects of the setting, other creatures, all their lore and all their factions and all that.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
It takes more than one,
yeah,
Like you got a big process you're planning out in a
yeah,
big series.
yeah. Like
So
I, it wouldn't. It's not unreasonable that to release all the ideas I have in mind could be up to 10 years. All the ideas that I have currently, because
wow.
I want to, just realistically. um, yeah. Thank you. Yeah,
I agree. I
yeah,
mean, the stories are a great
yeah,
way to start it
yeah,
off to kind of get
yeah,
you to know the characters
yeah,
and the
yeah.
creatures and everything in the area of the rounding of the Harrowed world universe.
Mm,
And
mm.
and then going to the aspect of creating all that and mixing it all
Yeah, you
together
did,
into the
Chelsea.
RPG.
Yeah.
Is sounds like a good idea to me.
Mm,
And I think that's where you're going with it.
yeah. Yeah, so all the protagonists of each story of the visual novel will be prominent characters within the RPG.
Hmm.
So it'll and it won't be necessary to play the visual novel and all those stories to understand what happens in the RPG, but it will give you some background context on those characters.
Right.
So when they're being all weird and being a pain in your ass, you can realise why they're doing that. Why are they all
Hmm.
so messed up and doing all these weird things? because they are messed up and they've had these histories. These things have happened to them, and it's like it's not like vampires go to therapy, is it?
Right.
Yeah, and that stuff all carries over. Everything that happens to them, and when they're alive, that all carries over and it doesn't go away. In some ways, it's worse. Sometimes it's almost like they're frozen in many ways to how they were.
Mm-hmm.
And that stuff just sticks to them and clings to them. So finding the
Yeah.
balance, how to use imagination to ground it in reality. Yeah, that's right, Matt. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know we've had some conversations about this, Chelsea. Yeah, Chelsea's another indie game developer.
Yep.
They are part of the Brock Boys, as they're called, and they released a game called Alpengoal.
Alpengoal. Yep.
Alpengoal, and they were also working on another one called AM.
Ooh. Sounds good.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a good way to sort of lightly introduce people to ideas of the setting and the style of the storytelling, because there's sort of a style to the storytelling, even if the stories are different. Sort of a way that I will formulate the stories. The way I look at things will always impact the stories. It's just inevitable. The way So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We also know Chelsea's good at Morse code. Just saying.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no. I'm definitely, and I'm excited to see what you got, going down the line in the other games that you're making and other stories and DLCs that you're adding in, and
Yeah, but right
I'm
now,
intrigued.
in terms of ideas I have, and a lot of them are just basic ideas, I want to do at least one big game for each main type of creature,
Yeah.
and they would all be quite different in the way, not all of them will be set in the modern day. Some of them will be more historical, and they will maybe even combine different genres together, but all
Love that.
in this sort of supernatural gothic horror world. So just lots of ideas brewing, but probably not best to share yet. Don't want to get people
I wouldn't share it
excited.
yet. All the
Yeah.
details.
Not
Need
quite
some room
yet.
for speculation.
Yeah, lots of speculation.
Suspense.
It's fun teasing people when people actually get excited. And it's just, oh, tease people.
I agree, Chelsea.
You're welcome, Chelsea.
I agree. Let's see here.
But if you had any questions about my inspiration and my process, this would be a good time to ask.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm right here, so. How long have you liked the idea of vampires or like mythical creatures of any sort or just things like that? How long have you been invested and interested in that idea?
It started the idea started developing since my mid-teens. So over a decade, maybe closer to 2 decades now.
Yeah.
Sort of, it's quite a while. I mean, I couldn't tell you the exact dates or ages, but
Well, yeah, of course.
partly because I don't entirely remember. But it sort of started to develop from there, and it's just sort of caught my imagination in a way that I didn't really expect. Because before that, I was not opposed to those things, but they weren't that interesting to me. But then they sort of really caught my imagination.
So, do you just like vampires, or is it like other creatures like werewolves or anything like that, or is
Yeah.
it just strictly vampires that you like?
Really, all supernatural creatures, really, and that can extend to certain things that you wouldn't necessarily associate with horror, but things like giants and things are interesting as well.
Mm-hmm.
Things that appear in folklore and fairy tales and mythology. Um,
Gotcha.
all those sorts of things. Gods and demons and all that. It's all interesting to me, and to a certain extent, religion as well. The stories that they
Yeah.
tell in religion are the stories, aren't they? They contain a lot of these same sort of elements and ideas. You know,
I can see that strictly in the first one you've made, in
yeah,
Isaac's story. Like you
yeah,
can tell that's prominent in the understanding of what you're going for
yeah.
with the characters and
I
everything.
mean, religion is tied explicitly to vampires. It's just you can't escape it. And
Mm-hmm.
so I wouldn't be, it is my take on vampires, but how can you do vampires without even touching on religion?
Yeah.
And so the way I dealt with that was to deal with religion. It's so and when people become vampires, they still have a
Mhm.
desire for things like religion to explain things. In fact,
Right.
sometimes even more. There are people who vampires who, when they were human, might not have had any interest in religion at all. But then you suddenly find you're this undead, blood-sucking predator. Suddenly,
Mm-hmm.
that seems a bit more credible. That there's more things at work in the world, and whether or not
Right.
they are right about what they believe isn't actually that important. What matters is they believe it and what they do because of it. What
Absolutely.
rituals and practices they create, which often mirror the ones that humans have, but will of course adapt to their condition,
Mm-hmm.
their
I
natures.
get that.
Yeah, and so okay, that's okay. Yeah, and so basically, so you have this faction that specifically deals with, it's their take on Abrahamic ideas, and that's sort of what we're presented with in this first story.
Mm-hmm.
But they're just one of the factions one of the main factions of the vampires, and so not all of them will follow this belief system. It's only some of them.
All right. So it could be different.
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah. So it's not just like they all believe this. In fact, they're quite varied, as are people.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a number of prominent factions, and that's one of them. And they sort of represent this idea of organized religion, particularly sort of the Abrahamic faith, which obviously particularly Christianity, has a long history with vampires.
Yes.
Um, then you also have other factions that represent other things about human society in their uniquely vampiric way. It's just one of them. Each new story will sort of introduce you to another one of these factions.
Okay.
Sometimes in a slightly what's the term? In a sort of in an almost primogenital way in some of them. Some of them are, because some of the stories set in the past, the factions haven't quite all developed to how they are in modern day yet, because things change, alliances shift, situations change.
No, yeah.
Um,
So I
yeah.
guess my next question would be, how did you guys come up with the name Harrowed World? Like, where did that? Because I don't know much about it, but where
Mm,
did that like come from? If you don't mind sharing.
yeah. So there was a few names that I had during development. So the first name I remember applying to the setting was the Fallen World of Paranormals, and that's obviously quite
Mm-hmm.
early on. And it's too long, it's too basic, and it's
Mm-hmm.
very Christian in its name. And of course, there are Christian influence in there, but that's not like the main thing of the setting. It's just one of the
Right.
possible things. You know. So and then I came up with the name Terra Firma, which is so terror is in fear, and then firma, which is a play on a phrase that comes from Latin, which is terra, Terra, terra firma, which means firm ground, and terra literally with an A literally means earth. So it's sort of play on that. Unfortunately, a bunch of other people had this idea already, so it was a very terrible name for many, many reasons. Partly because it was mainly associated with science fiction already, and also because lots of people thought of it before, so it wasn't very unique. And so then I sort of sat down. It's like, I need a new name. I need a name that I can market, a name that is unique, but isn't too... It explains what it is in relatively simple terms, but is unique enough that it is marketable and people haven't really used it before.
Right.
And so I just spent hours and hours looking at different words, different synonyms and things. And it's just trying to find something that sounds good, explains what the setting is about in simple terms that people haven't really thought of before. And it's a lot of things at play. You know, it's hard to get all those things right and together in one row. And then and Harrowed is the past principle of harrowing. Okay. And so it's like, okay, so, and, you know, I couldn't really pick something specifically to vampires because there's lots of creatures in the setting. It's not just vampires. And I was sort of modelling it off this idea of, like, description, world. And I wanted world because it's a world, so it's a setting. You can be placed, could theoretically be anywhere in the globe the story could be set. And I also want this idea of scale, this intended scale. So world, that makes sense. And then, so I basically had two choices: description world or world of description. Okay. And so then Harrowed, as I say, is the past principle of harrowing. And and I sort of sat with it for a while, and then I looked around to see if people had really used it before, and I didn't find a single instance of the phrase "harrowed world" anywhere on the internet. Not a single use of the phrase anywhere.
Interesting.
And okay, so I've come up with a name that no one has used before. That's relatively simple. I mean, sometimes people struggle with a little bit, but it's relatively simple. It explains what it is. People haven't used it before. Well, I'm going to use it, aren't I? And so, and then what I wanted to make sure is I got all the usernames for it and all the platforms that I want to be using. So I needed to get at Harrowed World, and was rather messed up by Instagram being Instagram. About basically over a year ago now, there was this bug in the Instagram system where a bunch of accounts got locked out by no fault of their own, and then people who got locked out of their accounts and then tried to get them unblocked within 24 so basically had to wait 24 hours, then they could try and get back in again. Anyone who then did that after 24 hours had their account deleted. So,
oh no.
Yeah, so anyone who tried to gain access to account again, who again had been locked out by no fault of their own, and I was one of them, had their account deleted. So your account's gone.
Wow.
So at Harrowed World on Instagram was gone. Okay, so I had to start a new account. Okay, but it's not only gone. It's like a black hole in the system. That username at Harrowed World is unusable. Can't use it. It's gone. Because I used it on that account, and that account has been dissolved by codes, whatever. So it's basically I couldn't use that username. So it became Harrowed World Official on Instagram, which really annoys me. But there was no other option. but you know what's really weird Okay.
What?
This was a tiny new account, fresh, everything, nothing from the old account on. But if you look at previous usernames, one of the previous usernames listed on this new account is at Harrowed World. That doesn't make sense at all.
What?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, does it?
That does not make sense at all.
Yeah. But if I try to change the username on that account to Harrowed World, it won't let me. So it doesn't make any sense.
So weird.
And it's not like they've like wiped the post off that account and I had to start again. The account was gone. And I had to make a new account.
So you would think the username's free because the account is gone.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Ooh.
so not only that, but somehow thinks the new account is the old account, but it isn't, because it's an entirely new account. I don't know what's happened there. It makes no sense. I reached out to support during this time.
Mm-hmm.
I reached out to every sort of Facebook, Instagram, Meta, support thing I could find. None responded. They eventually gave out a statement to explain what happened and said it was just an error in the system, no one's at fault, didn't restore any accounts. And and not only did they not get back to me, you'll never guess what they did.
What did they do?
They sent me a survey to complete after not helping me.
A survey.
You can't make this up.
It's crazy.
You can't make this up, can you? So that was fun. Yeah, so that ruined my perfect little setup. And yeah, so that explains where it comes from.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome story.
Yeah.
Let's see, we have a question in chat here. Did you do any writing before deciding to write the Harrowed World stories?
Did you do any writing with so not really. I did a little few things in high school, and then I didn't. It took a long time before I actually decided to take the setting and write stories with it. There was only little bits that I did before that, but there wasn't very much. And then there's another question from Chelsea. Can you really see you've built a pretty in-depth world? Okay, I like that. You're taking into account real world superstition into account. Oh yeah, absolutely. So there's so I've tried to take into account actual real world things that exist, and also how those map to supernatural creatures logically, as much as you can, in a way that is not too complicated, because there's always a risk of making things too complicated. So at one point I was considering this multi-layered system of different factions and religions for vampires, and it made sense, but it was too complicated. Like, it was confusing me, and if it doesn't make sense to me, it's not going to make sense to anyone else. There was just too much to it, and there's lots of little things here and there which you don't sort of need about the setting that you won't necessarily need to know to understand the stories, and that's fine. There's lots of little details, and there'll only be certain things you'll need to understand and know to understand each story. And if there's a little details here and there, which are just like extra bit, that's fine. But when you have like these multi-layered things, which are too complicated for even me to follow, then no one's going to follow that. So you sometimes got to simplify things, just so that people can understand what you're talking about. If they understand what I'm talking about ever, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but there are some instances where I sort of take superstitions like influences from like Bloody Mary and things in different parts of the setting. So things like that, and genuine sort of like folklore and even some bits of religious ideas, such as like biblical and extra biblical concepts and things that would just sort of feed in, and then I'll just sort of do my own take on these ideas.
100%.
Hmm.
So I guess another question I would have, like, did you have any specific inspirations? Like, did you like draw any from like Dracula or like, Frankenstein or those type of characters, or did you make up your own kind of like thought process and lore for these characters that you have?
Yeah. So everyone takes inspiration from what came before. Anyone who says
Mm-hmm.
they don't is lying.
Mm-hmm.
You don't live in a bubble. Even if you don't intend to take inspiration from things, you do.
Right. Right.
So it's so one of my initial inspirations is there was a video game released in 2004 called Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, and that's sort of
Mm-hmm.
what introduced me to the concept of supernatural creatures living hidden among human society. And that sort of sparked an idea in me, which sort of started me working on the setting. And then just that basic idea, and then I sort of developed from there. There are lots of like influences from lots of different things in there. I've mentioned folklore, mythology, fairy tales before.
Yep.
But there's books, movies, TV shows, lots of different things, even things you wouldn't necessarily expect. There is some more fantasy-based influences in there as well, and there's even elements of science fiction in there as well, which I wouldn't tend to advertise or point out because that creates certain expectations. So if I say this is science fiction, there's certain expectations with that idea.
Yeah.
Although
Setting the genre expectation. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, technically speaking, Frankenstein is science fiction. It's actually it's regarded as one of the first pieces of genuine science fiction. But sort of what I mean by that is, if it's about what people believe and what stories we have, people talk about UFOs, flying saucers. Those are all things that that play a part in folklore, even if we don't think of them in the same way as vampires and things. So those do have had some influence, maybe not as direct. So we're not going to Mars or anything like that. We're not going to like other planets and meeting aliens and things like that. But
Yeah.
because that doesn't make sense with the genre. But those things, those are still stories we have, so they will influence in other ways. Things aren't always what they appear, shall we say?
Right.
And also things like technology. Technology is an interesting one because a lot of stories will be set in the modern day, and technology is changing all the time. Things that were science fiction yesterday are going to be science fact tomorrow. And so I do try to keep in mind technology, even though those don't necessarily form a lot of part of traditional Gothic horror stories. And I don't entirely think of it as Gothic horror, even though it's definitely one of the big parts of it. I mean, I actually at one point came up with a term for the specific genre that it would be, like my own term. But I didn't keep using it because no one would understand what it means.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I coined this sort of term that I called grim Gothic, which comes from in parts like grim dark. But basically, it's sort of sort of the aesthetic of gothic horror, but slightly more modern and with elements of cyberpunk and things. But no one would understand the term, so I don't use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Sounds like an interesting term, though.
yeah, I like the term. It's just no one would understand it if I used it, so there's no point, is there?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think genre is just a way of categorizing things. I don't think it should restrain you. The
No,
moment
absolutely.
genre restrains you, I mean, there are certain things. It's like it just sort of creates certain expectations, and you either go with those, you go against them. With like a lot of gothic horror stories, particularly vampires, priests and Christianity are often represented as this sort of absolute good, which, as we know from the real world, isn't always the case. People don't. That's because a priest is just a person, and a person can be good or bad. People can do good or bad things. So it's how you think about these things, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. I get it 100%.
Yeah.
Well, I think I've asked every question that I can think of as of right now.
Yeah.
For you. I fully can ask chat if you have any more questions to drop them in chat and let us know. And I would shift this. We could shift this a little bit if you want, and do you have any more questions to ask me from the content creator aspect of playing your game or any game for that matter?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, I had you do the feedback form, which was very helpful. Have you been involved anything like this before in like the creator program?
Actually, Harrowed World was my first one that I really started getting into.
Yeah.
Before that, I was never really even thinking about doing any creator programs or being a part of it. I just kind of did my own thing.
Yeah.
I was just playing the games, and enjoying the games as they were.
Yeah. Would you say
when the idea presented itself, I was like, sure, why not? You were coming around, you were talking to me, we were getting to know each other,
Yeah. Would you say
and I was
that
like, sure.
that sort of that and what I've since learned is an almost unique way that I've interacted with content creators, of getting to know you and getting to know your community, and actually sort of getting involved. Would you say that's had a big influence on your decision to get involved in the creator program?
Oh yeah, I would say that definitely the whole process for you, even coming to streams when I'm not playing your game or I'm playing, whatever.
Yeah.
Hanging out, just chatting with other people and the engagement that you had with other members of my community. That's something that I definitely think triggered that thought where I was like, yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
I wanna do this. And I think that changed for me as a streamer entirely because when I think about it, when I started getting into the creator program for our world and everything like that, it was where I was like, well, maybe I need to start interacting with these indie devs, not just necessarily like you, but others as well. And help using that to network and to grow and to kind of put my personal Twitch channel on the map, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um,
So when I started doing that, I didn't actually realize that was kind of unique. I sort of heard this idea you should network with streamers and content creators and things. And I'm just like, well, I'll go and do that. Apparently, they don't do it the way that I do it, most of them. So I've almost accidentally developed a a way of doing it by accident.
Yeah.
wasn't really. It's just and then I got to know you and a lot of other content creators, and it was good, and it was and and I enjoyed being. I've enjoyed being part of your communities, and you've all been very welcoming in a way that I'm not actually used to.
Yeah.
Welcome to Chat in Space. Yeah.
Hi there in space.
Yeah, like in a way that not all communities are as welcoming as that. And
Absolutely.
yeah, even within like indie developer communities, they aren't always the most friendly, and and particularly me, because I sort of do my own thing, and I don't really sort of necessarily do the same things a lot of other indie developers do. The way they go about things and the way they interact with each other isn't necessarily the way that I do it. That can doesn't always create the best relationships. There are exceptions, such as with Chelsea, and there's also another indie developer called William Davis. They've been very supportive of me. But on the whole, it's primarily been content creators, particularly streamers, who've been some of the most supportive towards me. And I've really enjoyed getting to know you all and your communities.
Oh yeah, I mean, I definitely think, like I said, the indie horror genre in itself on Twitch, the communities that there are, CEO Screams, all of them, horror honeys, every single one that I've met, I didn't know them before I switched to specifically doing horror as a whole, and like indie horror and just horror in general. Crypt community, that's another one. All those amazing communities there that are out there that are designed specifically for streamers that do horror games, and they connect to these devs. When I started getting involved in these communities, it was like, that's the right way to do things.
Yeah.
That's the right way. You got to be able to want to support the people that make those games for you, because you're playing the game.
Yeah.
But most people don't recognize, oh, well, Harrowed is the designer of this game or whatever, or, oh, this or that. So that's why I love when devs come into stream and they're like, hey, that was my game. Thank you for playing the game, or what, whatever like that. Or they're coming in, they're giving tips to the game, or, anything like that. It just shows like how tight knit the indie horror community really is. And of course, I'm sure there's ones that stick to themselves a little bit more, and they have their inner circles and all that other stuff. But I feel like most of them are very understanding and very willing to talk to the content creator and get to know them. Also, as well. That's right. Crypt community.
Yeah, and it's been a learning experience for me, and it's been a very enjoyable experience. In lots of ways, really, just getting to know you as people and as creators, seeing how you do things, going into your streams.
Like we said earlier, I mean, we all present ourselves differently, right? We all present ourselves in different ways as content creators. What I do is not the same thing that In Space does, most likely.
Yeah.
Or Serene, or whoever, anybody else that you can name. We probably don't do the things the exact same way.
Yeah.
So that's the fun part about it.
Yeah.
But what I've seen in a lot of people and a lot of the content creators, I know a lot of the content creators that are in the program for especially Harrowed, and that's they're just all genuine people, right? They're all people that care and they want to see the game grow, as well as you and their Twitch channels everywhere. They're just about the people more or less, rather than themselves. If that makes sense.
And I was generally surprised how many people actually apply for the creator program, because when I put it out there, I was expecting more like 5, maybe 10, and
Yeah.
and part of me thought no one would apply at all, but it ended up being about, I think it was about 22 in the end. So it's
A lot of people.
yeah, a lot of people, and not all. Some of them that I knew before, who I'd been
Hmm.
interacting with before. Some of them I hadn't done. Um, and also some people who I didn't necessarily think would apply did apply.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because I interact with a lot of streamers, and
Hmm.
there's it's different with each one.
I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah,
Yeah.
love people involved.
People love being involved.
Yeah,
That's one thing. We've been talking about that,
mm,
People love being involved. They want to see, most people want to see the games get better and
mm,
want to see the community grow,
mm.
not just necessarily see, themselves grow.
Yeah,
And that's what it's about, right?
yeah,
We want to see everybody grow.
yeah,
We want to see the game grow, because if you're passionate about gaming
mm,
and you're passionate about the game, you're going to want to give the best feedback you can to
mm,
make the game better for everybody.
mm.
That's why I was telling you, like, I was so pumped about adding accessibility settings to the
Yeah,
game
yeah,
and all that kind of stuff. Like,
yeah,
we've already kind of touched on it, but
yeah,
the whole accessibility stuff is
yeah,
very big in the
yeah,
gaming world. And I myself might not deal with some of those struggles,
mm,
but other people do.
mm.
And I had to take that from the look as, well, you don't know what other people are going through.
Yeah,
You don't know what other people are
yeah,
dealing with,
yeah,
and you don't know what struggles they may have. So
yeah,
it's kind of like, that's why I pumped the gas pedal on that so much to you. I was like,
yeah,
this is heavy, because
yeah,
I feel like it's very important.
yeah. And so because of that, and because seeing Sevi play it, who did use that assisted voicing,
Hmm.
I did add that tip to the start, just letting people know it's there. Because they
Hmm.
might not be familiar with RenP visual novels, which
Yeah.
so it's just so they know it's there, and also I've had a few suggestions on maybe doing actual recorded voiceovers for the
Yeah.
visual novels, which I'm also thinking about at the moment. As potentially when the DLC comes out, I could add it to those and sort of retroactively add it to Isaac's story. And
Yeah.
that's one thing I'm thinking about as well. But yeah, it's always it's a growing process and learning. Just learning all the time to how we can make things better, and that applies to all aspects, including accessibility.
Oh yeah. It's just such an important thing nowadays,
Yeah,
and I understand why.
hmm. Yeah. Well, the more people that can play, the more people that will play,
Right.
which is
Right.
which is net positive for everyone.
And you want to get everybody the possibility to play the game if they
Yeah,
want to.
yeah, yeah,
Leave it open as possible
yeah,
for those that Well, you never know. Maybe they'll go, hmm.
yeah.
They watch a trailer, or they look at
Mm,
screenshots or whatever, and they go, hmm. I might want to try out this game.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then when they get on, you have the tips that can hopefully help them
Oh yeah.
playing it. And and if they like it, then hopefully they'll stick around for more.
Oh yeah.
Which is what it's all about, really, isn't it? In the end, it's
Yeah.
that initial. We'll give them the initial taster, and now, and then they
100%.
crave more. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It is. After all, you are a game dev, so you're
Yeah.
gonna want to try and see and push your game, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
gonna want. Oh, I want you to return for the second game. I
Yeah.
want you to come see
Yeah.
my future projects, whatever
Yeah.
they may be,
Yeah.
whether they're free of
Yeah.
charge or they're not.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
still want to see
Yeah.
people come back,
Yeah.
and that's
So that was the
how you gotta do
big
it.
part of this initial story, was the idea that it's like it's sort of a taster. I mean, the whole
Mhm.
visual novel, basically all the stories on the visual novel are a taster, but this one in particular is, this is the law, this is the bait.
Right.
bring them in.
I mean, you're supposed to be drawing people in. It's
Yeah,
the first game.
yeah,
It's the first story
yeah,
of the game.
yeah,
So like,
yeah, and
it's drawing
yeah,
people in.
yeah, give people an idea of what it's all about,
Hmm.
and make them want to learn more, which apparently seems to be the overall effect so far. You know.
We all want to learn. We all want
Yeah,
to know the story.
yeah,
We all been
you all want to know
excited to
more.
see what's next.
Yeah, and yeah, barely scratch the surface.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I have that feeling with
yeah,
that.
yeah, because
And there's so much room for so much more.
each story has a different protagonist, different characters, and focuses around a different faction.
Ooh,
And then which will set the stage for the RPG, where there'll be even more, and you'll be able to, as is the plan at the moment, to allow you to immerse yourself fully in the world with your own character. In the art,
absolutely.
yeah. So that's what we're sort of building up to initially, and then
I love that.
I've got more ideas, which again I'm not going to share.
Of course.
Yeah, but you might be surprised what some of those ideas are, and um, some of them might be slightly more traditional horror in some ways, and
Ooh, okay.
some aren't really something you might necessarily associate with horror at all. But there are ways and means. You know, different stories, different characters, different creatures, different possibilities.
100%.
Yeah. It's good to see you're good in space.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think I know I should be heading out soon to grab myself some dinner.
That's okay. So when we're done with this, I'm going to move on to playing the game through, and then
Awesome.
after that, I'll have a surprise for everyone.
Ooh, a surprise.
Yeah. So want to be back for that.
Absolutely. I will be. I'll be around. I'll still be watching and all kinds of other stuff. But
Yeah.
I do need to excuse myself to go get the dinners and foods.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you have to ask me or have for me or would like from me?
No. Yeah. You've been excellent. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Glad I could help.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
Mm.
Thanks for the stream, of course.
Yeah.
He's still going though,
Yeah.
Chelsea.
I'm still
so
going. Yeah.
he's still gonna play the. He's gonna play the game and show everybody the game,
And
and then do something special. I guess he said.
Yeah, and after that we've got a special surprise.
So I'm just gonna dip out the Discord call and go grab my dinner and watch the rest of the stream.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
have an amazing time. I'll see y'all in chat.
Yeah.
Harrowed, good luck, buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me on. I do appreciate that.
Thank you.
And
thank you for talking to me. So it's just not me talking to myself.
of course, absolutely.
Well, talking to
Absolutely.
the chat, but always helps to have an extra face to bounce off of.
Other panel stuff. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was glad to be able to have the chance to be a part of it.
Mm.
I wasn't sure because of all my theater stuff if I was
Yeah.
going to be able to make it or not
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
But I was able to. I had it off today, and I was like, boom, I'll go.
I just thought,
So-
it might be a good idea to have a panel, and it's like, well, have the creators on the creator program if anyone can and wants to, since you've been associated with the game, and obviously I trust you to behave yourself within reason.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But bye, everyone. I'll see you in the chat.
All right.
Bye, Alex.
All right. 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 Now we're going to play. Okay. Nope. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Is the volume okay? Very welcome. Is the volume okay? Yeah. Yeah, so I've had this tips screen, as I said. So tips, once you've experienced the end of the story, that doesn't mean there isn't more to discover, and more achievements to earn. The story has 6 achievements in total. You may need to play more than once to gain them all. This game has assisted self-voicing for those who need it. Default key equals V. Okay. Good. Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. George Santayana? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. You're Isaac Ambrose. During childhood, you were an altar boy at the local church. This is your story. When I was a child, I talked like a child, I reasoned like a child, and I fought like a child. But when I grew up, I was still haunted by monstrous things. Oh, I need to click that. It's funny in a way, life has these tipping points. Points where one seemingly insignificant decision can change the course of your life forever. Let me tell you of a day where I made such a decision. Made one such decision. At first it seemed like an ordinary day at the church. I did my work, and then Father Angelo allowed me to have some free time. I decided to explore the graveyard. One mausoleum in particular caught my eye. I looked derelict from the outside. The path to the entrance was clear, nothing preventing me from simply stepping inside. The air was thick with the smell of blood. The unseen crimson vapour clogged my nasal passages, filling my mind with nauseous dread. My eyes adjusted to the sight of the helpless victim, whose lifeless, rigid body was seemingly discarded, like refuge upon the cold, rigid stone of a sarcophagus in the heart of the room. It was then I realised I was not alone in that room. Before me there were 3 figures shrouded in dark robes. While each of them had the shape of a human, they were clearly not mere mortals. Their stony grey skin had the countenance of the grave, and their soulless eyes seemed to leak wisps of parasitic darkness. To my youthful eyes, they were an unholy trinity, eldritch thirst and hunger. What was it I did next? Okay, you can vote in the chat. 1, 2 or 3. What did I do next? It sounds cooler with your accent than I was reading on the stream. Thank you. So you were very good. I enjoyed your stream. It's very good. Don't have to worry about that. But I do appreciate the compliment. But yes, did I run for my life? Did I crawl up in a ball and cry? Or did I freeze up, gaze at them in fear? 1, 2 or 3? Get your votes in. Hey Rez, welcome to the stream. So we're just... Yeah, all's going great. How are you? Okay, what do you reckon? 1, 2 or 3? I know what I did. Yeah, I'm well aware of what you did. Right, Rat's using you all of it, wants to pop in and say hi. Okay, appreciate it. Okay. So tell you what. I froze up and gazed at them in fear. What was it I did next? I kept standing there, doing nothing. The 3 figures surrounding me, I fell limp as they drained me of all my blood. This is another thing I've recently added. That's not right. This is not what happened. I added in a let me go back a little bit. And that puts me back just as that mistake was made. You died. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. So, what was it I did next? I ran for my life. I ran as fast as I could out of the mausoleum and back into the graveyard. I stopped for a moment to catch my breath and figure out what I was going to do. I would have gone to the police, only the first police force hadn't been formed yet, or wouldn't be for a few more centuries. I knew Father Angelo would protect me. Are you sure? So I heaved open the church doors and retreated to the sanctuary inside. Father Angelo, I cried out. I called out, but there was no answer. What was it I did next? I kept calling out, hoping that he would find me. I went back to the mausoleum, or I went to his study. What do we think? 1, 2, or 3? What do we reckon then? Oh man. What do we reckon? Now, if I keep calling out hoping he would find me, Father Angelo. I called out once more, but there was no answer. What good could come out of the mausoleum? Well, let's find out, shall we? Back to the mausoleum. As the safety of the church went back out into the graveyard. Did I really turn to the mausoleum? Well, I guess that I did, yeah. 3 figures surrounding me. I fell limp as they drained me of all my blood. And then let me go back a little. Back where I was. That system was very hard to program, I'll tell you that. Lots and lots of variables. But it seems to work, so that's the important thing. So I didn't return to the mausoleum. I ran back for my life, back out of the mausoleum, went straight back into the church. Father Angelo. Foreshadowing. Yes, the foreshadowing. I called out once more, but there was still no answer. I went to his study. So much foreshadowing. You fall right into the trap. I came up to the door to Father Angelo's study, causing me to stop in my tracks. Did I knock? Yes, that's polite and respectful. No, there was no time. Let me think. What do we think? 1, 2, or 3? No. There's no time. Okay. I barged into the room and was greeted by the sight of the priest of the church, Father Angelo, reading from his Bible. He was so engrossed by his reading that he didn't draw his attention away from the Bible. Yeah, burst on in. Take now thy son, thine only son, whom thou loves. Father Angelo? Can you see I'm reading, my child? Didn't I tell you to knock? I'm sorry, Father Angelo. It's turns his attention away from the scriptures and looked upon me with his familiar pastoral benevolence. I may have been rash to dismiss you, my child. You seem startled. Are you alright? I saw demons, fallen angels in the flesh. I saw a body, a dead body, bloody murder. I don't really know what I saw. What do you think? 1, 2, or 3? Maybe we shouldn't be too specific. Okay, I didn't really know what I saw. The mind plays tricks, my child. You're unlikely and sure because any phantoms you saw were nothing but ghosts of the mind. I'm sorry, Father, it seems I've let my imagination run wild. But I must have seen something. Could we look together, Father? Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did tell me. Okay, what do we think? 1, 2, or 3? Let's go, buddy. No. I will show you. Could we look together, Father? Very well, if that will put your mind at rest. Thank you, Father. I think that would make me feel a lot better. I led Father Angelo to the mausoleum, but it was empty and seemingly undisturbed. Not a monstrous stranger, a corpse, or even a simple drop of blood in sight. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Very undignified. You see, my child, there is nothing here. But I saw... Well, if it just happened and one of them was really dead, how could they have moved the body so quickly? But you're a good acolyte, the best I have, but perhaps I've worked you too hard. It is late, and you were up early to assist me as always. Go home and have a good night's sleep. Father Angelo will be like, yeah, kind of, yeah. Father, please. Sleep on it, my child, and take the day to rest. But if tomorrow evening this still bothers you, then we will form a full investigation, but please keep this to yourself. Of course, Father. Thank you, Father. There would have been no point telling my parents anyway, as in those days children were usually seen and not heard. Father Angelo was the only adult that ever listened to me. Hey, Sevi. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the service. Headed back home and went straight to bed. But I was not blessed with sweet dreams. I knew it. Oh my god. Hey, Sevi. That night I was cursed with a fearful, bitter sleep filled with dread. Oh god. Well, you know, if you want, fine. That one thing about me is having a road family. No, I'm just gonna accept it. Yeah. The day night proved little reprieve as the visions of the night haunted my waking. At nightfall, I returned to the church and knocked on the door to Father Angelo's study. Come in. Ah, Isaac, I hope you're feeling better now. We can put all this behind us. I think I would feel a lot better if we investigated the mausoleum again like you promised. Very well. We made our way back to the mausoleum and again we found it was empty, but I still felt like something was wrong. See? Nothing here. I guess I was wrong, Father. Maybe look for a secret passage in the wall? Could we try looking in the sarcophagus? 1, 2 or 3, what do we think? What do we think? What do we think? In the sarcophagus. Very well. Could we try looking in the sarcophagus? May I remind you that this is someone's final resting place? We need to show proper respect for the dead, my child. Please, Father, can we at least try? Sorry, Father, that bit of wall does look out of place, though. Sorry, Father, for wasting your time. There's nothing to investigate. What do we think? What I will say is we pick this option. Let's just see. But not many people choose this option. Sorry for wasting your time. There's nothing to investigate. So you are satisfied and you don't wish to investigate further. Yes, Barbara, I'm sorry for wasting your time. I left the mausoleum and I never spoke of what I saw again. Failed to find any evidence of supernatural activity. So that is the other non-canon ending. You don't get an achievement for it. Because you don't die. But that is the other non-canon ending. So that's not right. This is not what happened. So let me go back a little. That's awesome. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Can we at least try looking in the sarcophagus? Yeah. Please, Father, can we at least try? Very well, but no one must ever hear of this. Do you understand? Yes, Father, I understand. Father Angelo successfully prized the cover off the sarcophagus with surprisingly little effort, only discovering its extensive staircase and guide that descended into darkness. I can see you're afraid, my child. We've come this far, and there's no going back now. We headed down into its depths to see what we might unearth. Found ourselves in a crypt beneath the graveyard, and there were the hooded figures I'd seen the night before. Only one of them was missing. See, I told you, the hooded figures. But wait, where's the other one? It's unfortunate you show part of our ritual. We've never been witnessed before. We got complacent, it won't ever happen again. Yes, you did. Sevi is in the chat. Father, what is going on? With the Daniel's cloak. Oh my god. Can't. What's a Sevi? Don't know what is the Sevi. The mind of a child is yet to fully develop, and as such is harder to control, but there are other ways to keep you in line. I don't understand, Father. His features shifted in a mere moment, and no longer looked like a human, but like one of those creatures, as he was one of them. His eyes were as black as the darkness before creation, and his skin was the shade of tombstone. Father, no, please, you can't be a demon. Hell is full. There are no devils here. Then what are you? We are the children of the Watchers. Meep. Meep meep. But what does that mean, Father? You are demons. I don't care, just leave me alone. What do we think? What do we reckon? I should answer. What do we reckon then, eh? Yes, okay. Meep meep indeed. We just go all out and accuse them? Go on then. You are demons. This is my immortal flock, and I am their shepherd, just as you are part of my mortal flock. Then where have you led me, shepherd? What do you mean, immortal? Do you not believe in the Holy Bible? In the commandments of the Lord? 1, 2, or 3? I accuse them. So which one? Which one do we think? 1, 2, or 3? In the crypt. Okay, 1. And where have you led me, shepherd? Okay. In this case, you chose your own path, and I simply assisted you on it. If it is part of God's plan, then I submit to it. I guess I have no choice. No, you aren't a shepherd, you are a wolf, leading me to slaughter. 1, 2, or 3? What do we think? What should I answer? Oh. Keep accusing, disconnected for a moment. But I don't think I missed anything. Yeah, 3. Perhaps you're right, my child, but you play your role, so I must play mine. What follows is the will of the Lord. Tell no one, or God will be angry. 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 Harrowed World, What's Past His Portents, Isaac Story, writer, programmer, and executive producer Alex Burton, that's me, illustrator, composer, and all the thank you names. Many of you may notice your names there, because you helped supported the development of this visual novel. For that, I'm very grateful. Was that right? Should I go over it again? Let's go back to the crypt, shall we? Yay. Glad to hear it. There's more coming, don't you worry. So we'll go. What does that mean, Father, this time? The watcher angels were banished from heaven, but not condemned to hell. You don't look like angels to me, then show me mercy, angel, please. Do you still follow the Lord? 1, 2, or 3, what do we think? Okay, I'm going to go for you don't look like angels to me. Whenever an angel appears in the Bible, it always says, be not afraid, for their form is terrifying to the oblates that witness them. While we aren't angels outright, it is part of our nature. What do you mean it's part of your nature? No, you are monsters, leave me be, demon. But are you beings of the Lord? 1, 2, or 3? What do we think? Are they beings of the Lord? But are you beings of the Lord? We are natural to the world. We are natural to the world, just like the sons of Adam and the daughters of Eve, and just like the lamb and the wolf. We are the followers of the Lord our God. We are the faithful dead. How can you be dead? What do you mean, the faithful dead? So we are the lambs and you are the wolves? 1, 2, or 3? Free. The stories that you oblates tell of our kind talk of unholy beasts swooping down and stealing babies from their cradles, of rotting cadavers spreading disease and death. Truth of the matter is far more complex than your feeble mind could ever hope to comprehend, and yet as you stand before me, the fragile weakling that you are, I can't help but feel sorry and guilt for that things turned out the way that they did. In your terms, we are vampires, but we are not mere boogeymen from tales concocted to spark fear in the young and uneducated. We are immortal. We have always been here, guiding humanity. Common term for what we are is vitastrix. It is nothing but a bastardization of a Latin phrase, but the scriptures give us another name. So where are you guiding me? Scriptures, what scriptures? But are you beings of the Lord? 1, 2, or 3? Okay. Scriptures, what scriptures? In scripture, our kind is called Raphaim, often translated as giants by oblates. The name reflects our strength, our power. The first vampires were the Nephilim, but this was before the flood that cleansed the earth. Since then, many legacies, vampiric bloodlines have appeared all over the world. A covenant was made with our kind just as it was with humanity. The Bone Shepherd was redeemed and became the saviour of our kind. By following his footsteps, we too seek to be granted salvation. If it is God's will I am part of this salvation, then so be it. Who is the Bone Shepherd? That's blasphemy, Father. There's only one Lord and Saviour. 1, 2, or 3. What do we think? Bone Shepherd. Yeah. The Son of God was betrayed and crucified. The betrayer ended his life by the rope. Judas Iscariot was resurrected, as his destiny was greater than his mortal life. Through his redemption, we too can be redeemed. I am ready, Father, for whatever you need of me. So you betrayed me like he betrayed our Lord and Saviour. Judas Iscariot, Father, that's blasphemy. 1, 2, or 3, what do we reckon? What do we reckon? A little hope from the rest of y'all. Yeah, I'm torn. That's fair. You know, we've been running one. Yeah. I'm ready, Father, for whatever you need of me. What follows is the will of the Lord. Tell no one, or God will be angry. 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 Tell no one, or God will be or God will be angry. Tell no one, or God will be angry. Tell no one, or God will be angry. So I think that's a good playthrough of that. So I think just move on to the chatting screaming moment. So when it comes to sort of special rewards treats on this stream, I had two I was planning to do. One was just one I was going to do anyway. Another one was going to be for if we reached 300 wish lists before today. And so when it comes to wish lists, we got to 296, which is under 300. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold off. Yeah, so close, yeah. So close. So I'm going to hold off on that reward until, I think, maybe until we have 300 downloads. First time downloads. If we get that, then I'll reveal that treat at a later date. But as for the other treat I'm going to do anyway. This is an exclusive sneak peek at the next story. Okay, how do we feel about that? How do we feel about that? So this is quite a rough excerpt from the start of the next story. It's not finalised. None of it is finalised. It uses stock images and music from the first story. It's just stock images and a rough start to the story that can be changed later. It's just a rough start to give you an idea. So are we ready to take a sneak peek at the next story? Are we ready? Are we ready? Let's do it. Yeah. Okay. Right. See, second story, Duncan's story. Okay. Same tip again, but I haven't decided on the achievements yet, so I haven't put the amount in. Nothing is so painful to the human mind as a great and sudden change. Mary Shelley. You are Lord Dr. Duncan Richard Edwin Oswald. During life, you were a renowned physician, a gentleman and a kind-hearted philanthropist. This is your story. Doctors, medics, physicians, surgeons, healers, leeches. Our job is to save people. That always gave me a focus, a purpose. What good is that when you can't save the ones you love? I would have done anything to save her, and indeed I did. Every moral I held close to my heart was forsaken in my desperation. I would have made a Faustian bargain if I'd had that option. Perhaps I did. In the end, my efforts were nothing were for nothing. My narrow-minded drive not only failed to save her, but condemned others as well. Perhaps if I could have brought her back, it would have been worth it. I thought it was time for me to go. A doctor who caused his needless death for his own selfish ends. No, that was not right. Any new medical breakthroughs were surely beyond my years left alive, so I had nothing more to contribute to the betterment of my fellow man. I was a burden on my friends, and it was not like Byron wouldn't find a new professional to attend him. Nothing was left for me. Development now. Keep following for more updates. So, what did we think? What do we think? Just a little sneak peek. What do we think? Yeah. Good. Excellent. So, any questions anyone wants to ask? Yes. Thank you. Good. Just a little sneak peek of the next story. Is there anyone have any questions or anything they want to ask? Don't have to play it. Trying to avoid spoiler, that's fine. I hope you managed then. I imagine it would have been difficult. Just do it. It was so hard to avoid spoilers. Yeah. Gotta play it, Chelsea. It's free. It's out now. You can play it anytime. Without spending a single penny. Isn't that magical? No. Thank you. I was actually thinking of raiding out. Thank you. Yeah, I was actually thinking of raiding out. I don't actually know how to do it though. But there are many experienced streamers here, so if someone could tell me how to do it, we'll probably do that. I know Cass is planning to stream the game tonight as well. And the stream has started, but they don't seem to have started the game yet, so we could raid out to them and give them some support. I just don't know how to raid out. How do you do it? Oh, raid. There we go. I figured it out. No, I figured it out. Right. Chelsea has been initiated. Excellent. Right. So if no one has any more questions, I'll raid out to Cast Streams 7819, who's going to be streaming the game as well. And they haven't seen the story, so it will be a first time for them. So I've worked out how to do it, I think. So yeah, no idea how to. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna raid out now then. Okay. So yeah,